How are you feeling about the UK at the moment?
Well, I don't know when you will ask back, but my experience of going back to the UK now is that everyone is supremely depressed and doesn't think life will get better.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Gary's economics monologue just being played on repeat, but like that sentiment of you're broke and your children are going to be broke and no one's going to get a house and you're going to die destitute. And
everyone's going to be poorer than this generation and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I was very depressed when I went back to the UK last because I think I had just come fresh from the inauguration in DC, and I mean, which was bracing for lots of reasons. But I just noticed that there are lots of opportunities for things to be righted in America and put in a more sane direction. Again, we'll see if that happens, but I think there's a great opportunity, this whole set of great opportunities in America, economic and much more for the country, educational reform, a lot of problems that America needs to address that have now the opportunity to be addressed. Whereas Britain, like most of Western Europe, it just stumbles on. It's very depressing, and I noticed
not very inspiring.
I've noticed that my friends there are all wildly depressed. I'm rather surprised at how upbeat I was. I mean, they beat it out of me.
Having just come from a war zone, a selection of war zones.
But within 24 hours of being in the UK, I was suitably depressed at the equilibrium that was expected of everyone.
Cortisol level and had come into line with everyone else. Yeah. Instead, I've seen a lot of plenty wars up close, but it's the UK that I'm most concerned about.
Well, yeah, actually, I am. It may be a sort of dramatic overstatement, but yeah, I mean, what gives you hope in any country, whether it's a peace or a war, is whether the people in the country want to fight for the country, metaphorically or literally. And in the last few years, I think since I last saw you, I've spent a lot of time in Ukraine and more so in Israel and the Middle East, and seen people literally fighting for their survival and for their country. And that's always, but particularly in those cases, a very remarkable thing to see. When you then see a de-energized, enervated society, where everyone's split and no one knows how to go forward, it's very concerning. I just see that for the time being rolling on in the UK. As I say, the stop has been put to it of a kind in the US. But
how much is bottom up and how much is top down, do you think? How much of this is sort of structural, bureaucratic, because of the leadership, because of things that need to be changed at an institutional level? And how much of this is, as you mentioned, the sort of culture of the people, that they're sort of reveling in their own, I guess, binding together over their own sort of shared discontent?
Well, having few economic opportunities causes everything else to go wrong. I mean, I'm completely persuaded by my economist friends who say, the one job of politics is to keep the economy good, and if you don't do that, everything else can go wrong as well. I think that's true, but it's a combination of the economics, the market not working, growth not happening, wages being stagnant, unaffordability of housing, and then plus the just wild innovation of all the cultural crap. I think you can have weak economics but keep strong culture. But if you've got weak economics and weak culture, I mean, I was just watching this morning. There's a row that's been going on because it's actually something I helped to fuel. There's a bunch of Labour MPs who've been busily campaigning against a third runway at Heathrow Airport, which is just like, seriously, this has happened all my adult life. Any healthy country doesn't debate for 20 years a third runway at your major airport. You just get it done. Just build it. Same thing with there's like infrastructure like HS2, which has one virtue in it, which is that the plan is to be able to get out of Birmingham faster. And these big infrastructure projects have been like endlessly debated in the UK for like 20 years. And that's very depressing. But yes, a group of Labour MPs, all with diverse constituencies or not, have been busily anti runway at Heathrow, but have been urging the funding of an airport in Mirpur because their constituents want to be able to get back and forth to see family.
Where's Mirpur?
In Pakistan, and they're very insistent that anti-building of runways in England, but very in Pakistan. And those things are just crazy, and everyone in Britain can see it. And then people criticised these MPs for this obvious, ridiculous double standard of saying, if Heathrow expands, it will kill the planet. And they go, but Mirpur, great,
good to go.
And everyone can see that. And then people in Britain, a couple of MPs called it out, and then were immediately called Islamophobic racists by these other MPs who. That's just typical Britain. It's like typical Britain, and nobody knows how to get out of it because it's the same thing. Everyone now knows. You complain about anything in Britain, online or off, and these weird eunuch-ized police will tap on your door and none of it's metaphorical. As Konstantin Kisin said the other week about the thousands and thousands of people who've had police come to their door because of. Like saying something critical of their school on Facebook and this sort of thing. It's just bizarre, the weak situation that Britain has got into. We weren't like that. We don't have to be.
Yeah, the culture of a stiff upper lip appears to have been sort of lost in its entirety.
It hasn't been. It's just been wildly suppressed, like everything else, like masculinity, like natural, the natural culture of the country. I wrote the other week about this ridiculous thing where the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust inevitably is waging war on Shakespeare, and their new thing is like, why are we doing so much Shakespeare at the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust, and why aren't we spending more time celebrating this Bengali poet? Well, said Bengali poet wasn't born in Stratford-upon-Avon, you jerk. Probably if you go to his birthplace, you won't find all that much Shakespeare. But it's just filled, all of the institutions, all the cultural institutions, all filled with stupid thinking like that,
I think the slight difference is there's a sense of rebelliousness in America that we don't.
Well, there is in Britain as well. There is everywhere. It's just that you can very effectively squash it. And, for some years in America, they tried to squash that in America. And Americans used the biggest hammer they could find to hit back against it, which is Donald J. Trump. And the British public haven't yet found a hammer.
Very interesting. Yeah, well, if you think about who Americans are the progeny of, I'm aware that recent immigration, waters this down a little bit, but they're the descendants of people who said 8-week journey at sea, limited chance of survival, not really too sure what I'm going to, count me in.
Yeah, I know there is an explanation of that, yes, but there's also I'd like to think there are plenty of belligerent buggers back home as well, and there's plenty of brave people and plenty of people who may not have left the islands but who still have similar instincts, It
just seems like there's at least in the UK, and not among most of the friends that I spend my time with, but that's because I, very carefully sort of selected my group of friends to not be those people. But when I hear the sort of commentary that happens online, I do think, this shared reveling in discontent in, if you were to ring one of your friends and say in the UK, get that in you. Thank you, Douglas. Time for you to do your first ad read. There we are.
Yeah.
New tonic.
If I become wildly ill from drinking this, it's bad for you, isn't it?
It would look bad, but you can hold it together. I'm sure you've taken worse across your illustrious career.
Cheers.
Thank you. Very good. Okay, come on. There we go. Cheers. Chin, chin.
Cheers, chin.
Chin, chin.
It's delicious.
Very good. That's good. Yeah, you were paid to say that. I always remember I rang a friend and I said, hey man, like, what are you doing today? Tell me about what you've done today. Said, oh man, living the dream. Took the bins out this morning. It's been raining all day. That classic British sort of...
That's sort of banter though.
It is, but it feels to me like be careful sort of what you pretend to be, because you are what you pretend to be in some ways. And rarely, that's Kurt Vonnegut, rarely it's hard to reverse that. Like, people bond in the UK over this sense of shared suffering, over this sense that things are sort of a little bit crap and not necessarily...
Well, you have to make them better then.
Yep, I think so.
Sort of. I don't really like whining, although we're doing a bit at the moment.
A quick aside, if you're struggling to fall asleep on a nighttime, stay asleep throughout the night, or not waking up feeling rested and revitalized in the morning, Momentus's magnesium L-threonate is one of my favorite products, which I use every single night before bed. Magnesium L-threonate is uniquely able to cross the blood-brain barrier. It also boosts memory, focus, and cognitive function, while also improving sleep and reducing stress, which is why it's a massive part of my brain, body, and sleep stack, which I use every single day. It's got a huge impact on my cognition and my strength and my recovery. And if you're still on the fence, Momentus offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you can buy it and try it before you go to bed every night for 29 nights. And if you don't love it, they'll give you your money back. And they ship internationally. Right now, you can get a 20% discount off all of their products and that 30-day money-back guarantee by going to the link in the description below, or heading to livemomentus.com/modernwisdom and using the code modernwisdom at checkout. That's livemomentus.com/modernwisdom and modernwisdom at checkout. Would you look at that? Clip is already over, but if you want more, don't be sad. The full episode is available right here. Go on.